All right, happy Black History Month. So today we're going to be looking at being black in South Korea. Now this video is going to be kicking off a host of videos where we'll be talking about different things in black culture, as well as how it intersects with many different social justice issues such as racism, as well as health equity and public health.
I've changed my style and appearance living in Korea.
Mm,
3, 2, 1.
that's interesting.
I feel like my style has maybe like leveled up since I came to Korea, because before I was very much of like a tom girl, whatever. But I know that, like, you know, go to Walmart with some sweatpants on, something, you know. But here in Korea, everyone's always pretty. They have their makeup on. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go to my. Let me put some eyelashes on. Some cute pants on. Let me put on a cute outfit.
Yeah, that's pretty much common.
A certain body type here that clothes are not always accommodated for. So I find myself having to make my clothes fit for the culture. It's like I'm still wearing the clothes I would back home, but I'm having to make it fit into what is socially acceptable. I feel that beauty standards in Korea cater towards white skin, fair hair, and anything that revolves around being skinny.
It's very similar to what we're going through in America, where I feel like we got our own standards where you have to be blonde hair, blue eye, you know, skinny, no acne, with the hourglass figure and all that.
Sometimes I'll go into the stalls where they sell the clothes on the side of the streets, and the ladies will look at me and they're like, girl, you got too much junk back there.
Oh man.
None of these clothes are gonna fit you. And I appreciate the honesty, but sometimes I just want to look.
Yeah, I got you.
It's unfortunate.
I dated people to get better at speaking Korean or English. 3, 2, 1.
That's interesting.
When I first came to Korea, and I always asked people what was the best way to learn the language, they always say, get yourself a Korean girlfriend. It's the quickest way because you spend a lot of time with her. But
I kind of see that.
Okay, I can also spend time with just friends. If you find a bunch of foreigners who are really eager to study Korean, that can really help you a lot.
Yeah.
At least from my experience.
Foreigners that don't speak English, and then you can only communicate in Korean.
That's true.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I feel like we live in a myth, especially in America, where the only way you can learn a language is just immerse yourself in the culture or language in it. But pretty much, if you're very eager to learn it, you're able to learn pretty much, you know, anything. And like we have different means of learning languages, such as Rosetta Stone as well as Duolingo. Yes, you should probably be around people who speak the language you're trying to learn and be able to learn from them. But it's one of those things where, what if you grow up in an area where people don't speak that language, or how can you learn and you don't know, have nobody to teach you, and you basically gotta self-teach yourself. One example of this is Spanish. Like, yes, you might be around people who speak Spanish, or you might be just like around people who are trying to learn Spanish themselves. But I would say there's very little places in the US where you can really just immerse yourself in the culture, you know, to be able to learn Spanish. We've become so Americanized to the thought that English is like our ideal language. That's our universal language here in America. Like, you need to learn this to survive here. That if you try to learn any other language, then it's going to be especially hard to do that.
My sweetheart and I, we actually have a pretty good dynamic. I think what helped a lot with our relationship is that he didn't really grow up watching TV, so he really didn't have any preconceptions of what someone who looks like me should be or what Americans should be.
Yes.
What other people think. He just likes me.
I respect that.
Of course, I like him for him.
One of the bad things about reality TV, especially whenever you got the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, Hollywood Basketball Wives. I started watching this new show called Married to Medicine. And I'm not saying they're not funny, but the one thing I hate about it, it gives off the perception to a lot of other people around the world that that's how black people really act like. And, you know, whenever you're going to visit, you know, different places, even in the US, people expect you to act a certain way because the only time they really see black people or interact, quote unquote, with black people is through, you know, reality TV. Most of the time, the people that do the most outrageous stuff on those shows are really just doing to get more money, get more ratings, at the same time creating this negative conception of, you know, black people. It's really up to people to get out their own bubbles and just understand that TV is, you know, fake, and, you know, to really understand what people are like, get out in the real world and don't have those preconceptions.
I consider myself black. 3, 2, 1.
Okay, I'm glad everyone don't have no identity crisis.
When I'm in the States, they call me Chinese Mike. You know what I'm saying?
What?
Like I tell them I'm half Asian.
But you clearly sound like a black man.
Wow.
Though, like...
I mean, I could sound like it, but I mean, it doesn't mean that I'm accepted as one, which makes me think, am I? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I know my bloodline, but since I'm half Korean, it makes me like, that's what, I'd be standing over there if it wasn't for the objections of the black community.
Being biracial.
Well, because I'm black and Mexican, but like
Oh,
all of us came
wow.
out black, so it's like, I mean, like.
Fair enough.
So it is what it is, and it was interesting because the Mexicans in our family didn't want blacks in their family, so I didn't really get to partake in much of that culture. So yeah, that's why I'm just blackly black. I am a black woman.
So there's a lot of anti-blackness in the Asian community as well as the Hispanic community, as well as there's many anti-Asian sentiments in the black and Hispanic community, as well as like Hispanic, Mexican, Latino, Latinx, as well as there's also anti-Latinx sentiments in the black Asian community. Racism is all around. It's in many different communities. We portray onto each other, and really to get down to the psychology of it, it's really doing the white people work. As I stated on this channel many times, racism is a product of like rich white people back in the colonial times. During Bacon Rebellion, basically indentured servants as well as African slaves basically sacked and burned down Jamestown. And after that happened, rich white really were just like, how can we, prevent these, people from rising up again? And that's when the term whiteness started to be invented, because that's when they started making laws distinguishing the two. Like, indentured service got totally different punishments than what African slaves gotten. So what has compounded today from that time to where we have many different races, many different ethnicities in the U.S., and we really are like prejudiced and racist towards each other because we were fed to believe there's a certain standard in the world that we need to live by, and that is whiteness. We're all really just prejudiced against each other because we're trying to get to what we call the white standard, and really we're not going to achieve it because the white standard was invented by rich white people. But the truth of the matter is we're all pretty much prejudiced against each other, because we're trying to get to this standard of whiteness, and we're never going to achieve it, not only necessarily just because of skin color, but because that's more about being rich, like, and powerful. If you have any racist views or prejudicial views, really deconstruct about where that comes from, because really we're all the same people. We're all getting screwed over at the end of the day by these rich white folk, and it's just like, in order for us to do better as a society and just get rid of all this hate, we really need to reflect upon ourselves.
Get offended by the appropriation of black culture in Korea. 3, 2, 1.
This is a big topic.
Offended is such a strong word.
Yeah, I know, strong, right?
Offended is such a strong word.
In some instances, it comes from a place where they are trying to learn, but we also have to understand appropriation can lead to negative stereotypes, because sometimes it feels like a cosplay of like black people. There are also people out there who are literally putting on black people as a costume.
Yep.
At the end of the day, I'm always going to be like this. I can't. So it's like
Emotional blackface. Yeah, I get you. I get
Say
you.
you like rock and roll. I mean, like, say you like rock and roll something, but there's an image to that genre.
Right, I get it.
They want to be a part of that genre.
Right.
So how can you? I don't find that offensive.
Right.
If I see that, I'm like, it makes me feel good. I'd rather them want to be us than.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
There's a difference between mocking
I got you.
the black culture and trying to make themselves look like it. Like when I was younger, I seen comedians, like Korean comedians, come on and try to be funny while putting black shoe polish on. That's not acceptable. But I don't think nobody would put dreads in their hair if they hated the culture. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Going to do this movie shoot, and one of the directors was like, hey, do you know where I can get some fake hair to do some cornrows? And I was like, for me? I don't want cornrows in my hair. Are we just talking about braids or what? She was like, no, for an actual actor. And I was like, is he black? And she's like, no, he's Korean. So for me, I don't necessarily get offended. I just want to be the educator.
Really tough topic to talk about, because there's a difference between being, black appropriation where you mock black people and really just try to like make fun of us, and you really try to be a part of the culture and really like try to show appreciation for it, or you try to emulate it. It's really interesting to talk about the blackface example with the comedian, because I feel like a lot of Asian people got that from white people to imitate us, and really like a lot of Asian people don't really understand black history and the negative context to it, and so they dress up in blackface and stuff like that too, and just like do comedy stand-ups and all that, and don't really realize what they're doing. Like I said earlier, like racism and all its facets, whether it be systematic or it just be blunt, saying the N-word and all that, came from rich white people to really just trick everybody else to hating each other so they can protect their profits. Going to popular examples how, K-pop is integrating, black culture in its music. I feel like it's not done in a disrespectful way. I feel like it's more about as long as you show respect to it, as well as you don't really just try to do the negative stereotypes of just like being a gangbanger, being a criminal, you know, trying to live that, you know, thug life and all that. I think it's fine. When you get a white rapper, you know, you get people who are trying to be like cool, thugging it out, being in the streets about that code. But when the going gets tough, they want to dip out, you know, go back to the quote unquote suburbs or go back to their, you know, white safe spaces and just really just try and just act like they weren't trying to be a part of that life. Because going to school at a PWI, you got like a bunch of white frat boys and a lot of sorority girls trying to emulate, you know, black culture, trying to twerk, try to talk about Young Thug, try to be like Lil Yachty, 2 Chainz, Lil Wayne, all that, playing it at the frat party. And, you know, the majority of white people in the U.S. think it's just like black people just do it, or think that black people are just criminal gangbangers or really just trying to imitate, you know, a lifestyle and just, you know, causing all the violence here. When in actuality, it's more white people and really more of the white youth that's doing it.
To be here in Korea because, like, I come from such a small town in Tennessee, so I never thought that I would actually be living my K-pop choreographer dream.
Okay, getting it, she getting it.
Think that I'm very cool when they see me, but they also think that I am very intimidating. When people tell me that, I always question like, why? I'm like such a nice person, I'm very bubbly, but I can understand because like I'm different, you know, like they've never really seen someone of a different race before. And then also there's like the stereotypes of like black people, and then maybe they're also intimidated by my presence.
Yeah. I'm not really mad that, you know, Korean people have different stereotypes about, you know, black Americans, because really we in America, not just in the black community, but overall, we have different stereotypes about different people across the world. And that's due to lack of ignorance, as well as, you know, getting the stuff off of TV, like I said earlier, as well as just not really interacting with people outside our culture. The biggest thing I tell people when they get money or have like a sustainable income is to go travel a lot, like really go outside, get a different viewpoint on the world. I never really learned anything about the world until I traveled, you know, on a cruise to Jamaica, the Cayman Isles, and Cozumel, Mexico. And really just be in different places and see how people lived. Because my notion about people in Jamaica was that they were all violent criminals, or they were like, you know, thugs and all that. But really going there is just like there's different type of peoples like there's in the US. Like you have people that do crime, and you got also people that are good, nice people. We have a lot of differences, but we have a lot more similarities than what many people will want you to believe. And it really takes you getting out of your own bubble, getting out of your own safe space, as I should say, and really just go explore the world and really just be open to learning. A lot of times I feel like when Americans say go explore the world, we just go to have a vacation, get turned up, you know, get drunk on the beach or whatever, and not really like learn about the culture that we're going to be engrossed in, as opposed to what I feel like a lot of other foreigners come to the US to do. They really just learn about us and really just like, you know, get engrossed in our culture.
Korea has a strong cancel culture.
Oh, they do?
3,
I'm trying to see if they do.
1.
Dang, they really do. They don't say no, miss.
For 2 years, bro.
I know. Sam can tell it best.
Okay,
Unemployed.
please explain to us your situation.
Never in my wildest dreams did I ever think that speaking on something that I felt like I was entitled to speak on would get me canceled so hard.
Are you serious?
Like literally, when I made the post about blackface,
What was the post?
it became a topic overnight. I couldn't do any work. Like they canceled me hard, dropped me like a hot potato.
Golly.
Here's what gets me is that you had been talking about racism before in Korea.
Exactly, yes.
So what do you think made this last time different?
When your platform gets bigger, right, you have
Yeah.
more responsibility. And so what you say really affects a lot of people, right? And I'm sure at a certain point they're like, oh, this is Sam, the black guy in Korea who's doing entertainment, right? I'm always talking good about Korea. People like that. But the one time that I said something that was perceived as negative, they're like, nah, you can't do that.
Wow.
It was an attack on them, and they
Blackballed him. My opinion, with cancel culture, we need to just change the accountability culture, because I just feel like, yeah, you cancel somebody, but really, are they really learning? We don't have that in the US, because literally someone can get canceled on Monday, they end up back to being good Wednesday after posting an apology video. And it's just like, we don't really have a strong accountability culture here in the US when it comes to like actually trying to quote unquote canceling anybody. It's just more about everyone getting selective outrage for one day, then forgetting about the next day. But with Korea, in Sam's case, I guess he just got blackballed completely in the whole industry, like literally like being cut out for 2 years.
I work in Korea as an actor and a TV personality.
So he was an actor. That's what I was thinking.
I love this place so much. Everywhere I went, I used my platform to promote Korea. I have experienced a lot of good things compared to bad things.
So Sam, what is this called?
This is called shrimp extraordinaire.
Oh, okay.
So it sounds good. I'm hungry.
So I grew up in Ghana, Accra to be precise. I have 5 younger siblings, and I used to cook. I was the designated cook of my family. My younger siblings. In August of 2020, I experienced cancel culture. People kept sending me a post about a group of students that did cosplay, but they painted their faces black. I went on the gram talking about how disappointed I was, but somehow things blew up. And the hate that poured in was so overwhelming. I did not know what to expect. The truth is, it can be too much for one person, right? You guys, and even some of my Korean friends who were like, nah, we're gonna stick beside you. That really meant a lot to me. And for me, that was
they pulled
the
up.
moment where I realized these guys are not just my friends, these guys are like family.
Nah, for real though. Yeah, it just goes to show how bad like actual racism is, and when you mix it in cancel culture, that is crazy because, like I said, blackface is terrible no matter where you put it. And I think in Korea, I feel like they don't really mean no harm. I give more of a benefit of the doubt for, you know, Asian, you know, people in Asian countries. And that's not to say that I condone it. Like, it's definitely unacceptable. He was right to call him out, and he was wrong for getting all that hate. I feel like more like Asian people will just imitate what they see white people doing and just think it's like, oh, it's funny, haha, it's okay and all that. And I feel like they have a stronger sense of community, and I feel like they have a stronger sense of quote unquote justice. So they felt like he might have committed a wrong by calling him out. They're not doing it to be malice or, you know, malicious and all that. But I think it's just more about they're just trying to like fit in with white culture. And like I said, I'm not justifying what they did, but I think there's always an explanation or reason why people do things. I think they were just being ignorant about the situation.
I've had experiences with the police in Korea. 3, 2, 1.
I don't know if
Oh, dang.
Here.
So the popo came for y'all, or?
I'm super curious to know what happened.
I used to party a lot.
Right.
And since I speak Korean, I hear everything that they're saying, and when they, especially when they speak about black people, because that was the crowd I used to, you know, what I'm saying, the military soldiers I used to kick it with. But yeah, they actually said the N-word, and
do they realize that you're also black, or they don't know?
They didn't. Well, they knew. Yeah, we was all dark. We was all sitting there, like everybody was black. You know what I'm saying? So they said it in Korean at first, and then they said it in English. So I mean, then we got into a physical altercation. That's when it popped off. Yeah, it hurt a couple people.
I see. It's crazy because, like,
you know, I respect it.
I have never felt the need to be afraid of the police. Like, it's so safe. Every time I see the police just strolling around in the neighborhood, just say hi to you, and I'm like, no, you can never like feel like this anywhere else. Like when I went to America the first time and I was driving, a police stopped me, and I was scared.
Of course.
Yep.
I was like, oh my gosh. I had to pretend not to speak English. So I spoke Korean. I spoke Korean, and I showed them my Korean driver's license.
Now, in this instance with the police in Korea, I feel like you gotta go into history of like how police is starting in America. Like, police officers were, you know, the slave patrol back in colonial times. They've been gradually updated, and become what we see as policing today. And that's why we have so much talks, especially with Tyree Nichols, the unfortunate incident with him, as well as with Cop City here in Atlanta. Doing another video about that later. It's just a long history of like why people have so much hate against the police is because it has so much history about how they try to suppress the civil rights movement, how they graduate from the slave patrol, how they are a part of the carousel system, how they have been used on a war on drugs, basically to the point where it's just like, it's rightfully so that black people don't trust the police. Yes, I get not all police officers are bad, not all police officers are trying to hunt down people. I have like several cousins who are police officers, but you can't just straight up deny that, you know, the fear of like why black people like don't like the police or don't want to be associated with police or have like such a harsh reaction towards police whenever they show up.
I found a strong black community in Korea.
As an African, I realized that there's several African communities here.
Yes.
And they stick together.
It's separate.
Right.
So it's kind of like the black Americans kind of stick to themselves.
Yeah.
Right. Like that.
I can't relate. And also, I think I have a little residual, I guess, trauma from being back in the States, where I was called things like Oreo, and the other black girls like hated me.
Yeah, I was called that before too.
Korea, and then I'm not even in the same like job sphere, and so yeah, the community altogether was a little lost for me.
I didn't even know there was a black community in Korea, and for the longest time I felt alone. I expect there to be some type of connection, but when I actually speak to any black person, I feel more of a rival feeling than I do of a community feel. I'm like, I thought we were supposed to like help each other out, but like I never found the community. This is the strongest community I ever found.
Hey.
And y'all probably change when the cameras go off. My father, he's fully African American.
Mm-hmm.
My mother was Korean. She had to raise bicultural children, and I know it wasn't easy on her. And now I have a daughter. Lydia definitely doesn't think that she's black, but on the other side, she doesn't think she's Korean either, so. Why do you come home crying sometimes? You said like they don't treat you right.
Every time if I go to dance class, they're not like treating others like equally.
Yeah, they don't treat you equal. I felt that when I was younger too.
I remember the times you came home crying too when you were younger.
Don't put that, no. No, for real?
Yes, because of
What was it over? I mean, I know I got my feelings hurt a lot. I just don't remember everything. It was so many times. They'll let you know in the playgrounds that you're not the same color. I wish I didn't speak Korean sometimes, because a lot of my problems were with when I could hear what they were saying, I couldn't do nothing about it. I try to help Lydia navigate through all these problems by explaining to her that she's not the only one that's been through it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, she getting that fish.
That she's feeling is natural.
Got that catfish.
And, like one day she'll get used to it, and she'll understand that it's just a culture difference. It's not her. All right, Lydia.
Wow.
Oh wow, she got it.
Hold on.
Knowing your experiences makes me look at Korea in a different kind of way. You know, more positive, and knowing that you two also experience what we experienced. So I'm really thankful to be here in Korea, but living here for as long as I have, I start to miss my family.
I get it, yeah.
You know, you start feeling homesick after a while. So yeah, I'm kind of stuck in this weird nexus.
You guys helped me shed a light on a different perspective. I learned so much from you guys today. As a black woman, I feel like as time progresses, there are people who are willing to take chances with me, and I appreciate them.
Were you like careful with some of the answers because of the negative feedback you got from being yourself in Korea?
I stopped thinking about it and just went with my gut.
I respect it. Yeah.
Yeah, but
I went with the truth, and I hope it doesn't X me out of the game, but hey, being an outsider to both worlds is very traumatizing as a child. But I guess I always felt a little different, but I made that my plus and ran with that.
Yep.
new community?
New community?
New adventures with our new friends.
Okay.
Gumbe!
Gumbe, yeah, respect. Very, very wholesome, very wholesome. All right, so that's been being black in Korea. I feel like I got a better insight about what it is being black in other parts of the world because, like I said, I've only traveled for vacation and all that and really never really been engrossed in the culture as I wish I could have been. But I think, you know, it's really interesting the similarities and differences we have, you know, in the U.S. to what black people are experiencing in Korea. So the biggest takeaway I want to give from the video is like, no matter where you're from, no matter what ethnicity, race, you know, what your background is, we're all the same people. Just like get out of each other like zone and really, you know, this Black History Month especially, just try to really learn about different people's culture, really not have these like preconceived notions that you were taught by your grandparents, your parents, and really just by your like limited friend group. With that being said, if you like this video, please like, subscribe, turn on post notifications, all that wonderful good stuff. Like I said, I'm doing a lot of videos for Black History Month that pertains to racism, social justice issues. In the meantime, look at my video for family channels right here. Definitely like it up, all that wonderful good stuff. Stay warm, stay frosty, depending on what part of the country you're in, and peace out.